Hey guys, it's midsummer here in Japan and it is hot, really hot, and even my drought tolerant plants are starting to suffer, and with no water here on the allotment I have decided that I need to try some different watering systems to try and keep these plants alive through the worst part of the summer. So today I'm going to be trying an Olla. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I'm in my second year of growing a cut flower garden here on my allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Thanks for checking out my channel. Hot. It is 7 a.m. in the morning here and we have just hit 32 degrees Celsius. It's really hot. And if you've been following along, you'll know that I do not have access to any water on the allotment. All the water I have here has to be brought down in tanks, like this one. Which is really annoying. These are really heavy. I can't bring them on my bike. I've got to come and dump them in the car in the evening and try and water the garden when it's a little bit cooler. But our lowest temperature during the night last night was 27 degrees Celsius, so it doesn't really get cool or cooler. So I'm finding that even when I'm watering almost daily now, I only have 3 of these tanks, so I'm kind of using just under 1 per row, and it's just not enough. I'm losing most of the water, I think, to surface evaporation, especially if I try and do it anytime other than in the evening. Most of it's lost to surface evaporation, and so there's just nothing actually getting down to these plant roots. Now, rainy season officially finished 2 weeks ago, and we have not had a drop of rain since then, so the garden's not getting anything naturally. And as you can see, even the likes of my cosmos, which are a drought-tolerant plant, are not happy at all. And you can see this cosmos has completely gone. It's just crispy and crunchy. Crispy, crunchy cosmos. I mean, my zinnia are also heat loving. They look to be doing all right. My dahlia is starting to brown a little bit, but not much. But yeah, all of the other kind of seedlings and smaller things just aren't managing to get started in this heat at all. They're just baking in the soil. So I have made an Olla, and I'll show you me making that. Okay, so I'm going to go really old school and I am going to make an olla. That is spelled O-L-L-A, olla, and it is Spanish for pot, simply pot. But this is a type of watering system that's been used basically anywhere around the world that is hot and they want to grow stuff. And it's a pretty simple idea. It is that you get a clay, or in this case terracotta pot, and this is porous, so although if you pour water into this, it holds the water for a while, eventually it will seep out. And that will slowly seep out and into the soil. The plants that you put around it will realise that there's water in the soil and start to put its roots towards the Olla. And this will keep your soil moist, and it will take the moisture down into the soil. Instead of it just sitting on the top, it will go down into the soil. Now, I saw a video of someone making one of these and they made a really big one. Basically, 2 pots like this. And this makes quite a large Olla. Now, traditionally Olla were kind of big and round and then had a skinny neck, and the skinny neck would stick up through the soil so you could fill it. And this was because most people were growing deep-rooted vegetables, so things like beans, pumpkins, corns, those kind of things, that had really deep roots, and this would allow your water to go really deep into the soil and be able to feed those roots or water those roots. But because I'm growing annual flowers, most of the annuals that I'm growing are shallow rooted, so I don't think I need to go this deep. So I'm going to do 2, I have 4 pots, so I'm going to do 3 Olla. I'm going to do 1 really deep one, which I'm going to put in for my cosmos, which are drought tolerant, and they're drought tolerant because they have the deeper roots on them. So drought tolerant, but they're still dying. I mean, there's a limit to anything that says it's drought tolerant. So I'm going to make this one and I'm going to put it in next to my cosmos and hope that that gets down into their roots because they're really suffering right now. And then I'm going to take my other 2 and just leave them like this. And that I think will be deep enough to get to their roots because they are quite shallow rooted plants for my zinnia and the rest of that row. So that is my plan. The biggest issue I'm going to have is I hate touching unglazed pottery. It's like, ugh, I don't like it. So I'm really struggling touching these. They have a small glaze bit here that I'm trying to touch instead of the rest of them, but I don't like it. So what are we going to do? First off, we need to make these waterproof. So because these are just terracotta pots that I bought at the local home centre, they have a hole in them. So I need to cover up this hole, and I'm going to get dead technical and use duct tape. So I'm going to cover up the hole with duct tape. Oh, it feels gross. And that is just to hold for a little while, because I'm then going to flip it over into my duct tape and fill that hole with this. This is a silicone sealant, waterproof silicone sealant. This one's actually meant for sealing around your bath and stuff. I'm going to take this and I am going to fill the holes of 3 of these pots, not the top one here. So the 2 that will be like this and the bottom one of this, I will seal up using the duct tape and the bath sealant. Bath sealant. Duct tape. Okay, that's all of these sealed up. Okay, so that's those done. So then for the big one, I need to stick these 2 pots together. So again, I have some glue. If you're in Japan, I got this stuff, which is just a waterproof glue that is meant for sticking down stone and slate and ceramics, stuff like that. I got this because I wasn't sure if the sealant would be enough. I wasn't sure how sticky that would be. So I'm going to do this first and put a ring of glue around the outside of my pot. Make sure this all sticks down. Then take my other pot with the sealed bottom and stick it on top. Make sure it's nicely lined up. And then just for an extra layer of protection, I'm going to put sealant around the outside of that seam, just to make sure that this is completely waterproof where they join. This is not a thing of beauty. It is just going to be buried in the ground, so I'm not worried about it looking a bit haphazard. Slapdash. Okay, so these are my 2 big ones, my big one and my 2 small ones, sorry. The top hole here is where I'm going to add water to this. So once I put these in the ground, I then need to make sure that this hole is closed so that insects don't fly in it, so the mosquitoes aren't laying their eggs in it, but also to help with evaporation, to stop it evaporating so quickly. Now, this would actually be better if you had a plastic cap on top because it won't allow so much evaporation, but these came as a little set, so I have the terracotta tops as well. And I will just pop those ones on there, and for the big ones, I have the bigger plate style. And they are just going to sit on there. So I am going to leave these overnight to make sure that they're properly sealed up and they're properly dried, and then tomorrow we're going to take them down to the garden and fill them up and see if this is going to help at all with my watering issues on the allotment. I made an Olla. Okay, so it's 2 days later and this is my Olla. It is not a work of art, but it is definitely waterproof. It's got the closed up hole on the bottom, and this is well stuck together now that it's dried out. So I have one big one and then my two small ones. So this one big one I'm going to put in with my cosmos, but the other two I'm going to have a look around and see where looks like it needs the water the most. Okay, so having looked around, I think I'm going to put my big one here in amongst my cosmos. I have two small cosmos seedlings that I'm hoping are going to come up more here, so I'll give them the water that they need. Then I'm going to put one next to my zinnia, just behind that, because again I have some zinnia, young zinnia coming up. And then I'm going to try and put one in my aster, which don't seem to be doing much, but I really want to get aster this year, so I'm going to give them some water and see if it helps at all. So here I'll put one in for my aster, which still look very sad and are still being eaten by beetle, but I'm hoping are going to pull through. And then on the other side I'll put another small one here because I have these zinnia seedlings that are starting to come up, so that'll give me some later season zinnia when these guys are finished. Although I would quite like to get one in here as well because my echinacea and scabious aren't looking very happy in there right now either. No one is, it's hot. Okay, let's get these in the ground. One. Okay, and that is me all done. I've got all the Ollas filled up and I've put these little ceramic plates on top to stop with the evaporation so fast. I've also put a little bit of water in there because pollinators need water. It'll dry up really quickly in this heat, but gives them a little something anyway. And I'm hoping that I'll maybe have to fill those once, maybe twice a week while it's this hot. The idea is that the plant will sense that there's water there and start to actually send their roots out towards this. Ideally, I would have planned for this in spring and put these in, or actually autumn, and put these in while I was seeding the garden so that I wasn't disturbing any roots that are there, and so I wasn't having to faff around with the netting and things, which really got in the way. For me, because I'm in 9B, now these are here, I can actually leave them in here. If you're somewhere that gets a hard frost, then you're going to have to take these up in the winter time because the water permeates the pots and it freezes and expands and will crack your pots. So you need to be lifting these in winter if you get hard frost or snow. I don't, so I'm hoping that if this works I can leave these in here and I'll just slowly add one or two others because that was a really cheap way to hopefully try and keep these plants alive in this heat. I need to keep me alive in this heat, so I'm gonna go. Thanks for checking out my channel. If you like this and you want to see how the garden does and if these Olla work, then remember to hit the subscribe button below. If you want to see what I do with the flowers that I cut, you can check out my Instagram page, which is From the Witch's Garden, and there's a link to that below this video. And I will see you guys, maybe see, you can't actually see my eyes because it's so bright. I will see you guys next week. Bye.